Hi, my name's Cliff Feitner, and I want to thank you for coming to my YouTube channel and watching the videos that I put out. Um, yeah, next time I am going to be wearing my cowboy hat again because I do see a reflection of my selfie ring in from my glasses. Uh, why do I wear my glasses? Because I need to see. But I thank everybody who downloaded my first YouTube video. I appreciate that, and hopefully things will go up from here. And what I want to talk about this time is squirrels. I think we've all had our experience with squirrels, even as a kid. I grew up in the I was born in 1955, so I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. And one of the squirrels that I remember is Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Rocky and Bullwinkle. And also, there was another cartoon called Secret Squirrel, who drove around with Morocco Mole, uh, if you remember that. So, we remember all that, and also um, going to visit my parents during their latter years. They lived up in Cleveland, and they used to like to feed the squirrels. They had one that he had lost part of his tail somehow, and they called him Stubby. And this squirrel would come up to my dad and eat a peanut out of his hand. And in the latter years, I have thrown out, peanuts for the squirrels, unsalted peanuts in the shell, and I noticed that they like to come in my yard and play around, climb the trees and everything. And one day, I was not feeling good about myself. Why wasn't I feeling good about myself? Well, uh, I've had a little bit of life attack me, and I was getting down on myself because of my age, the fact that I am still working full time. This society says, after you get to be a certain age, you can stop working, collect Social Security, um, or from your 401k or whatever you have saved up. That's the problem. During the years, I've not been able to save up, for any retirement fund, and nobody else's fault but my own, letting things get that way. So, because of situations happening, I was feeling down on myself one morning, and I went outside and to throw a couple of heels of bread out in my front yard for the birds. I like to feed the birds as well. And this squirrel come out from underneath a lawn chair that was in my front yard. Looks at me, goes on his hind legs, or don't know how to differentiate between a gender of a squirrel. So the squirrel got up on its hind legs and looked at me as if to say, "What do you have for me?" And so I went in the house and I got some of my peanuts in the shell, unsalted, threw them out to the squirrel. And I went and I, put that on. Well, actually, I put a very frank post up on Facebook, pretty much blowing off steam, feeling sorry for myself and everything. And my niece gets on and she says, that could have been grandma's way of telling you things will be all right. And it got me to thinking in the time since then. I am a born again Christian. I have read, a good part of the Bible. I won't say that I've been through the whole Bible. If I said that, I'd be lying. And so, what's the use of saying that you're a born again Christian when you lie? I wanted to make sure that I was still recording. Even though I wear trifocals, I do have a hard time reading that. I have cataracts, so I can't see the little display up on the top of my phone screen right there. I got to thinking though, God has spoke through animals. He spoke to Balaam, through a donkey. And they said that God literally talked through the donkey. But I feel that there are times that animals will speak to you without verbalizing. I say that because years ago I was having some issues, with trying to control a leak down in my basement, and I thought I had it taken care of. The thing started leaking, and I had gone upstairs, and I, just expressed my grief. My wife and daughter, no, my wife and sister, excuse me, had gone to the store to pick up some groceries, and we had this dog named Rufus, and he wasn't long for the world. Uh, he was being taken care of with liver issues, and I had to take him to the vet every so often to get fluid drained from him, and he's on uh, all sorts of all sorts of medication, and we were just waiting for the time that I mean, and a few weeks later we had to have him put down, but Rufus was laying in the living room. I was sitting in the kitchen, and he got up, and I know he's in pain. He come up to me, just looked at me, once again as if to say, "Yep, things will be okay. Just chill," and goes back. And I believe that God does talk to you, through animals. They, especially if you're good to animals, they'll be good to you. I've been this type of person all my life who uh, we get an animal in our house, a domesticated animal. Uh, they will take a liking to me. Why? I don't know. We had this one cat named Peanut, who she come into the house. She was a stray, and our daughter, who her bedroom was what I'm using as my office right now, and she was an animal magnet. She had another cat named Snicker, and this one come in, and she named this cat Peanut. But Peanut decided that she was going to take a liking to me, and so I would she would know when I'm coming home from work and all that stuff. And I've seen that with other animals, and Rufus was the same way. He was the dog that my daughter inherited. Well, actually, got as part of a divorce settlement. Well, maybe I'm lying as I'm saying that. Her ex-husband went back home, and he left the dog, and so the dog, he decided that he was going to like me as well. He'd wait for me to come home from work, and I'd share my supper with him. But at this point, he wanted to let me know, things are okay. I care, and then went, back there. So, I was thinking about that. And I was, all this stuff, and getting back to the squirrel that day when I was not feeling good about myself, and I just thought, thank you, Lord, for talking to me through one of your creatures. I really appreciate that. And if you need to get a message from somebody, just be kind to animals, and they'll be kind to you. And once again, I was going to shut it off. Go to Amazon, get a copy of the Daily Uplift. I was, future episodes, I am going to be sharing something from that book with you. I want you to maybe get it for people for a Christmas present. I spent about a year typing the book. I would get up early in the morning, and I'd write maybe two passages from that. Next thing I know, I'm up to 409 pages right before I uploaded it first. So I had to. It's down to like 389 pages, but I've talked to a lot of people. They've enjoyed the book, and I think you would too. Have a great day, everybody.